that?
Let's see how well this works now. Okay, so apparently YouTube's new live streaming thing is being weird. I don't know if it's live now. Nope, it is. I just got it's working on the chat now. So, all right. So we had a little technical issue doing the new live streaming thing. It's a bit more hoops to jump through. But anyways, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Monsters of Land Now podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and DK Films, and along with me is Sam the Geiger fan, the co-host and co-founder of the podcast.
Am I supposed to say something now?
Yes, you are. Say hi. Dumb.
I know.
I know I've let you down. I've been a fool to myself. I thought that I could live for no one else. Alright.
Okay, let's get started.
Yeah. So, tomorrow, actually, it's gonna be the end of a decade. We've had, for, like, this decade actually... Shit, I messed up! This decade definitely had some moments in it, but we're not talking about political crap or anything related to that. We're talking about monster-related stuff. But also, anyways, just the internet kinda existed. Let's just say that. It got better.
Sure, why not? Sure, yeah.
Alright. So, this decade actually proved to be pretty good for the kaiju community because many films came out. Not many. Mostly more like... Well, I guess you could say that, but if you're counting the anime films, but in my book, I don't really count them. Sam? I think I killed him. Yep, I've killed him. He's dead. So, I think I just offended him to oblivion. I think I'm just gonna start cleaning up the desktop now. Because I got a lot of work to do here. Sam, I can't hear you at all. Give me a sign. A sign from the gods. Oh, now he disappeared. Sam, you're dead. Just accept it, or I'm just deaf. Okay, hold on.
Software.
Okay!
Software Discord is.
Okay, alright, we're back. Okay, let's go. Wait, hold on. Why now?
Discord.
Why at 11:21 p.m.? I need to shower and I need to sleep. Screw sleeping! Screw your damn shower! If you want to be here, if you don't want to be here, then just leave, alright? Just go take a shower and die. I'm kidding. I got pretty violent there.
That was mean.
I'm sorry.
You should apologize to that poor man.
I'm sorry, Godzilla Productions TV, for being so mean.
Good.
I snapped Sam away. Okay, so let's get back a bit on topic. Not really, because, well, it's this podcast apparently. No sweat, Godzilla Productions, just... You're lucky I don't have... Shit! Stop guilt-tripping me! Trying to guilt-trip me. Don't be like that. Okay. Let's get back on topic, but while I do that, you're gonna see me cleaning up the desktop, because I promised that in the second to last video I did. So...
Zoomers read Evangelion video.
Yeah, that was a good one. So, I said I'd clean up the desktop, and I shall oblige. So while I do that, let's talk about this thing. So, wait, don't worry, people do that to me all day. Stop guilt tripping me! Um, well, this year, definitely, not this year, this decade, shit, I have no structure. Sam, help me out here.
Uh,
I can't multitask.
Dude, this decade freaking bopped for kaiju movies. We got like a lot.
This decade bopped.
It was just, it's like the 2010s were the Oprah Winfrey of kaiju movies. You get a kaiju movie. You get a kaiju movie. You get a kaiju movie. It was nuts. It was crazy.
My God, Sam, thank you. You've single-handedly saved the podcast of whatever we just decided to do. I have no structure, and it's because I'm multitasking, so I'm just gonna stop doing the desktop thing. Alright? Alright? Okay? Alright.
Ah, we've ruined it again.
This is why the podcast was founded. It was rambled and rambled and rambled. If you have a problem with that, well, then why are you here? Is Sam old? Real question.
Well, that depends. Do you consider 17 to be old?
I mean, it's just shy from 18.
Yeah, but that's like the beginning of your adult life. I've come to the end of my childhood life.
So now you're
So
old, Sam.
so I guess I'm an old child. So I guess if you want to answer, or I guess that works.
Alright. What the? It's freaking Discord now. Okay, let me shut up. Okay. I just had to mute stuff. Now, let's talk about the first kaiju film that came out that surprisingly wasn't actually a Godzilla film. It was Pacific Rim, the original Pacific Rim. Let's talk about that. Anyways, damn, what a good movie that was. Sam, do you have anything to add to that? No, wait, you're muted again. Hold on. I'm just gonna... You always have problems with the podcast, huh? Always. Alright, we're back. So what do you want to...
So we left from one boomer website to another.
I mean, it's not... Discord's not a boomer website, it's a Zoomer website, so it's equally as bad. For the most part. It's still kind of good, though, because you can actually set stuff. But I'm not going to get on the tangent on Discord, or it's about Pacific Rim now. So Pacific Rim, for me, it's probably one of the better... Wait, who got Otachi? Oh, Jesus. So for me, Pacific Rim, it's just one, I thought it was like one of the better films of the decade. It really like helped start the kaiju movies off strong because it really was very good. And not only with its monster action, but its characters were actually like more fleshed out than the average Godzilla film. and that's saying a lot because you don't really have too much character development in Godzilla movies or just kaiju movies for that matter, except for like the Gamer trilogy, the AC one, that had somewhat good characters. I haven't watched it completely.
Or
All right.
like up top. Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us bonding over
Look at us.
something.
Not look at us. Not completing the Gamera trilogy. Who would have thought? Not me.
Wait, what were you gonna say? Other than Gamera?
I haven't completed it either. I've only seen Guardian of the Universe.
I actually haven't watched any of them. The only experience I have with Gamera is just watching the Mystery Science Theater trilogy, and now I'm getting sidetracked. So, with Pacific Rim, the reason why its action just works so well, and I'll talk about this more when I talk about Pacific Rim Uprising, is because its action, you have a sense of scale, and also a sense of like weight to the CGI models used. Like when the Jaegers throw like a punch at one of the kaiju, it like you can feel the weight of it because the motions are so slow because it would make sense for this huge hunk of metal to take it's kind of a long time except with like boosters and stuff. There's the camera trilogy. Yes. You want to add anything to that? My good friend?
Yeah, I like how I like how the fights all have weight to them. Like the leatherback fight is so cool to me because how like the weight is always present in there. That and it's just a cool fight.
Yeah, like, because it's not, because also there's like certain camera angles with the film, because the way there's a good sense of scale, it's camera angles, because sometimes, most of the time, they're low to the ground, or they're at angles which we would be able to see them, like from a building, or from like a helicopter, so certain things that we can see that we would get a sense of scale of. So
That's debate. No, I'm kidding. That's true.
That's fact. Now with the characters, they're not the greatest film characters, but when it comes to kaiju films, they are really good. Shit, I actually don't remember. It's been like at least 2 years since I watched Pacific Rim, and I only remember like two characters. I just remember them actually like being really good, and I was actually really invested in their characters. Like, shoot, what's his name? Let me just look at the cast. Just make my life a bit easier. Let me do that. I'll do that on the laptop. Though.
Look at you, not remembering the names of characters.
Yep.
Look at you, absolute scum of the earth.
Yep. Look at me go. This podcast has no structure. That's something we gotta improve upon 2020, Sam. We gotta get good at that.
We do got to do that.
Alright. So, Rowley, like, because... wait, 1 second. Back. I'll just let you talk to the podcast while I leave for a second.
Do. Not talking. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing tonight? You guys doing great? I'm doing good. Doing a podcast with my friend NDK Films. This is fun. This is always fun. He's gonna come back and then he's gonna be like, bro, why weren't you talking about Pacific Rim? It's kind of dumb. I don't know. I do enjoy the movie. I like its characters. They're fun. They're endearing.
Alright. I'm not gonna really touch too much on the characters because, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen it. But
It's,
I do, going off of memory, I remember actually being invested in their stories, and actually for especially like Charlie Day's character, I just thought this was just really fun. So um, but and they kind of ruined him in Uprising, but you know that's the later topic. But overall, I
different
give
story
it.
for a different time.
Yep, I give it a on a film perspective, I give it an 8. On a kaiju film perspective, I give it a 9. Let's go with that so I can just move on and die.
Me and the boys about to move on and die.
Alright. Um, let's talk, actually, let's talk about 2014 now, because now we're on Godzilla 2014, so that was the next one on the list. We're definitely not forgetting 3.0, even though I haven't finished it, and he just hasn't watched it in a year.
Well, we haven't watched Pacific Rim in like how long? So
True, true, true. Okay. Now, with 2014, when that first trailer came out, originally I was like 9, and it's just a personal story. I was completely like terrified because of the music going on, and like just everything was like so dark, and you just see this big like monster that just did not look like Godzilla to me originally. Because I was like, wait, what is this thing? It's like so dark, and I was just like, yeah, no. um, but after like seeing like the other trailers come, it like I was like, yeah, I can get on board with this. Except I didn't see it in the theaters because that was a little bitch at the time. I didn't want to do it.
ah, bitch.
I couldn't do. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself to watch stuff in theaters. I can now, but I really couldn't back then. I just felt uncomfortable at theaters. Maybe it was because the
Oh
audio was
no,
just so
I
loud.
can't. Oh no, everyone! I can't watch Avengers Endgame in theaters.
Don't do me like that. What was your initial reaction when seeing the first trailer? Actually,
I saw it and I was like, yeah, yep, I'm obsessed with this now. 2014 was the movie that made me a fan properly. I
oh,
did like I did like Godzilla prior to that, and that was when I watched some of my first Godzilla movies, like Mothra versus Godzilla. But like 2014 was like okay, I'm obsessed with this.
I mean, that was like a real starter for a lot of the fan base now. Like a good chunk of it, you can say, did get their start from 2014, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
because of the amount of publicity that the film had. Because of all these, A-list actors like Bryan Cranston was in it for like 5 seconds, and then it just like got a lot of attraction that like for people like you, like who had like some experience with the character of Godzilla, like it just was another step. And for me, like I already liked Godzilla like 3 years before. Actually, the film that got me to like Godzilla was I mean okay, I'm not gonna die now, at least. Okay. Um then the film came out, and like for the most part everyone liked it, but I guess like it it aged somewhat well. It didn't really age like a fine wine, but it's it's pretty good. So
Yes, it ate. Yes, it aged like a bowl of tortilla chips. It got all like weird tasting now. You know when
not
you?
not I mean, there's still aspects of it that I can say are good, but as a
Oh yeah, of
film
course.
it is like as a film in general it is very good, but as a Godzilla film it is somewhat lacking. It's like certain qualities about it that just could be like so much improved upon. Like I'm gonna be honest, it is kind of an annoyance when they cut away from the action like that. I get why they do that. It helps save them some budget, but when it happens so often, it just kind of gets annoying after a while, and there's like other ways that you can just cut from the action like that don't impact how viewers like see the film. So, uh, why don't you continue on something?
um. So wait, you were talking about how it's hard to like engage or uh, I'm sharing the stream, okay? don't okay, but like what were you saying?
I was
Sorry,
saying like
not to.
how it can get somewhat annoying of how like it cuts away from the action so abruptly, so much. I mean, a few times it's fine. It's a little tease, and it does help save the editors a lot of time and a lot of money. But like it can get annoying after a while, and there's like other ways you can go about doing that. So
You mean for like the build up, not like for like the final
yeah, for
fight
the
or
monster
anything?
scenes, because you feel like it's building up to something, especially with the airport fight, which though it was very good, it's like it was right there.
I would have liked to see a little bit of the airport fight
Yeah,
because
it's
with all the build, I mean, with all the build up that like you really get, it's like okay, now we can like now we can just like sit back and watch a few monsters, duke it out for a few minutes. Which, not to get too in depth with the sequel, but I do think King of the Monsters, or that's one of the things that that film does better than this one, is that um it knows like when the audience, in a way, like when the audience would start to get bored, so it's like here's a kaiju scene. Like, oh, here's Godzilla and Ghidorah fighting in Antarctica, here's the Rodan scene, here's the final battle, stuff like that.
yeah.
Though it's probably just because King of the Monsters is, I think, a much more engaging film than 2014, but
How,
that's
however, it's more of a trade-off with King of the Monsters because you kind of lose the character development of a lot of the characters. Except there isn't like it's not that there isn't character development. It's just that like for the most part, not a lot of the characters have too much development outside of like Mark, Madison, Emma, and yeah, that's about it. Which kind of makes sense, and it's really a film about this one family, and that part does make sense. I'll touch on that later, but um, one of the strongest attributes of the film, though, was its characters. Mostly, not quite though. I felt like Ford's character, like what's his name? Yeah, it's Ford.
Ford.
Yeah. I mean, I thought like he was a good main character, but he just like could. He played more of the passive role, and that's why like as a character he's just not really that great because a passive character isn't really a good character. He still has some dynamic changing. It's because he's like thrown into the situation and he's got to like just get his wife out of the city and all that stuff. Yada yada yada. But he's just kind of there living the ride, and we get to see that. It just doesn't really feel like that much is going on with his character, and that's kind of a little bit off. But whereas Bryan Cranston's character has a lot of development, going from like just like basically like going down like an obsession, like with like what killed his wife and just what's going on at the Janjira power plant and all that stuff with the echolocation stuff, which I thought was really interesting how all that kind of worked out with the mutas, which I'll touch on the mutas in a second. But with that, like I just feel like if he wasn't killed off so easily, I mean, I'm fine with him being killed off. It's just I felt like it was a bit too early for that. But I guess it's okay because it's like certain aspects you want to see. Like you want to see like how it would have worked out if he went back home and like met his grandson and stuff. But I guess we just didn't get to see that because the mutas came in. So
the Mutos pull up and they're just like, haha, well, time to murder this entire family.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
I'm about to end this man's entire career.
Speaking of which, let's touch on the Mutos. I'm gonna go first. Well, actually, wait. Before we touch on the Mutos, why don't you talk about the characters? Mostly.
Um,
Wait, I didn't. Wait. Before I get to that, I didn't touch on Zerazawa. I want to touch on Zerazawa real quick because
okay, touch on
Zerazawa,
Zerazawa.
felt like he was way more improved upon in King of the Monsters than anything. Except I think he had like some of the better lines in the original Godzilla 2014, and also he just it was just cool seeing like because Ken Watanabe just did a really good job with his role, and that's like one of the better parts because of the way they like. I'm just losing all focus here, so why don't you just get back to it? Because I really want to talk more about Serizawa and King of the Monsters, because just like his dynamic better. So.
I think I'll say. I think I'm gonna save a lot of my thoughts for the characters once we get to King of the Monsters, because it's gonna involve both these guys and the characters in 2014 and King of the Monsters. So I'll save my thoughts until then.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so now we get to the Anoscan piece. Anoscan. Shin Godzilla. Because that came next. Wait. Was it Shin Godzilla? No, it was. No, that's right. It was Shin Godzilla, then. Kong
It was Shin Godzilla, then. It was Shin, then Kong, then Anime, then Pacific Rim, and.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, we got it back.
Yeah.
So with Shin Godzilla, when the first trailer came out, everyone just weird shit for looking for a few. Like when we all saw the trailer, we were like, "Wow, look at that! Look at that huge tail! Wow! Oh my God! Look at those! Look at that destruction! Wow!" And mostly because a lot of people were there because of Hideaki Anno, because he was the director of Evangelion that we all know and love, and some of us kind of hate, but we don't talk about those people. So that's why a lot of people liked it. But after the film came out, I kind of realized after watching it in theaters, it's only half-baked for me. Why don't you touch on your opinion on Shin Godzilla? I need to gather my thoughts.
Okay, so because I can't just casually waltz right on over to your house and slit your throat, let me talk about why Shin Godzilla is an awesome movie.
So I can't just casually waltz on over and slit your Okay, yeah. Why don't you just talk about it?
Okay, so I think, so when this film was announced back in 2014, I think every single Godzilla fan collectively lost their shit. They were just like, "Oh my God, Toho's making another Godzilla movie!" Ah! And
I didn't actually know about it in 2014, so I knew about it like towards the end of 2015, but that was by the time the trailer already was coming out. So
it was like 2014, 2015 when the film was announced. So that was like the time everyone was just like, ah! But and then we got trailers and everyone was like, yeah, this looks cool.
Do you
and
remember
the
Godzilla, the Shin Godzilla? What was it? The Pung.
The what?
Remember that weird bear character?
Oh, the Parko.
Yeah, Parko.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Remember that? That was a thing. Everyone.
Parko bears.
That was
bears
just a reaction. Just people like using that for reactions and stuff.
Parko bears this generation Skeleturtle.
Parko Bear was basically this. Actually, no, that actually works. Skeleturtle. I was about to say minion, but whatever.
Okay, so by then, so after we got the announcement, we got the trailers, everyone was hyped, and then Gojira 5400 into the corner was like, "Nah, this sucks, and here's why." But we don't talk about him anymore. Um,
I
and
mean, I
then,
will. But
okay, Boomer. Um,
okay, Zoomer. Look. Okay, Boomer. Okay, listen here, you little shit.
and then, and then a bajillion, and then a bajillion and a half months later, we finally got the movie, and you were kind of sort of more negative towards it. I loved it. I adored that movie the first time, and then I watched it so many other times, and then I still love it. And even then, with the most recent rewatch, I love it. Basically, what I'm getting at is I friggin' adore this movie.
Okay, Zoomer.
I okay, Boomer.
Okay, oh wait, shit, we got Dillo fellow in the chat.
We got Dillo fellow in the chat. Grr, what's a god to a king?
Okay, now here's the thing. I don't really view Shin Godzilla as. Yeah, I view it in sort of a negative light sort of aspect of it, and here's why. It's because as a Godzilla film, yeah, this is actually pretty good. The action, like even for like Toho's CGI standards, it's pretty good, and there's only like a few parts that are a little wonky with the CGI, but I guess that's okay. I guess, but for the
the
most part,
the
like
film
certain
had
scenes like play out like really well. Like for example, the Who Will Know scene, which is my favorite because it fits so well, and it's definitely like leaning towards the Evangelion vibes that it has with it. And I'll touch on certain negative aspects of those vibes in a second. But it's because like if because the music and there's just the action in general, it made Godzilla feel almost well godlike. So that helped, made the film better, I guess. Now let me talk about the negatives, because as much as I want to say that the politics story is actually pretty good, the story of it is good, but the characters, no, it's because like they don't really go. I mean, they go through some development, but I think it's really because they're kind of static for the most part, except for like the main characters, like two of the main, like the president girl and what. I need to get the cast up. I don't remember any of these characters. I'm sorry, but it's because they didn't really. And I think it's just really because like it feels very much like political drama, which is fine. It's how it was acted out to be, but like I just feel like maybe it is coming from the American side that I am, but it's because I just kind of was kind of put off by the unenthusiasm around the acting. So, and for the most part, there's a lot more there's less Godzilla action than in 2014. Actually, no, wait. That's kind of a lie. Except there's like 3 extra minutes than there was in 2014, and I mean, even though those scenes are good, you gotta add on like the hour and 40 minutes that we have to sit through of these characters that we don't really have too much development with. Even though certain scenes are like really good, I really like the scene where they figure out like the clue with the origami, and that was just a really kind of fun scene to watch and stuff. But other than that, I it just kind of it felt a little the pacing just felt slow to me, and it because it and so the pacing felt slow, and that's shit. I'm losing track. I'm losing this. I'm tired. Hold on.
Where'd you go? Oh, okay.
Because the pacing was so slow, the film tended to drag on a bit longer than it really should have, and that just really impacted of how I felt about the film. Because I was watching it in theaters, and I was like, "Yeah, but when's the monster action?" I mean, like, I had the same thoughts with 1954, but the thing is, those characters were good, and I just didn't really appreciate them back then as I do now. And even though, like, I mean, even though you didn't really get like, I am stuttering. You help me out here, Sam.
You need a minute?
Yeah, I
You
need
want
it.
me to take over?
Just take over, please. God damn.
Yeah, okay. So while Boomer over here recollects his thoughts, allow me to tell you why I think this movie's great. Um, so so Ryan did say that the movie did have great action. I agree. The atomic breath scene, hype as all hell, admittedly overrated. Operation in the Taba and Operation Yashiori are equally good, if not better. The editing and the fast-paced nature, I think, are just are uh, oh god, are just really really great. I adore that, much like everything else. and um and I think they have really great musical scores accompanying, and they just have really great musical scores accompanying them too. I like it. Um, as for the characters, um, I'm pretty sure this is kind of an overused meme at this point, so forgive me. So forgive me if you've already heard this before, but um, I like thinking of the idea that Japan itself is the main character of the film, not necessarily one singular human
I can
person
get
character thing.
behind that, Sam. It's just with that, you gotta at least have like a. I don't mean to interrupt. All right, I get the whole because you're going by Jabi's logic of like how they how Japan is technically the main character, and that makes sense for in some regard. It's just because the pacing was a bit too slow for the film. It like I said, it dragged on, and that just kind of impacted the overall feel of the film because it has these really high moments with the action and stuff, but then very slow as snail and sluggish, just uh, character character plot stuff.
It does what I think 2014 or it does what I wanted 2014 to do. It gives you really high action, so that gives the film liberty to tell the slower, more thoughtful story.
I guess so. I haven't really
And
visited.
then what? So if I can get back to my thing,
Fine.
then so when you think of Japan as sort of the main character, I guess um damn it, Ryan. You your stupid interruption threw me off a little bit.
Sorry.
But like instead of like the character development being centered around one guy and having his place being or him finding his place within the Japanese government, it's Japan finding its place within the world stage, which is appropriate considering how Japan got absolutely clapped by the end, at the end of World War II, not just by the atomic bombs, but also by the occupation, which basically reformed its entire government. So so what you get out of it is, or and admittedly, Shin Godzilla is it's nationalist to a sense, where the film is basically saying, "Hey, this is hey, I think we should like take matters into our own hands, like when the situation is big enough." Because like the big conflict of the film is that Godzilla is now becoming a United Nations threat. So they're taking any and all action of Godzilla to them, and that's why they're dropping the nuclear bomb on Tokyo, where Godzilla's sleeping. but but Japan is still working with the Yaguchi plant, the big freezing operation, and through that they get help from America and France I want to say okay. I really want to say Korea because I remember
Actually, no,
watching the
they got some
film
help from China, if I heard you correctly, right?
either China or Korea because I think they were the ones
Yeah,
who provided the concrete pumpers,
yeah,
and then Germany helped out too with like technology and stuff. So in a way, it throws back to the older 1960s Ishiro Honda Godzilla films where a very heavy theme was the idea of like collaboration and togetherness of humanity. And in films like Mothra vs. Godzilla and Monster Zero, those themes are like especially prevalent where like in Mothra, our characters have to persuade the Infant Islanders to, give or to have Mothra fight against Godzilla, and in Monster Zero, the human cast has to figure out a way to stop the Exilian invasion. It's kind of like that. Japan has to get help from other nations to defeat Godzilla and simultaneously put itself right on up there on the world stage, which honestly is just which I just think that's really cool. And like it's to get to sort of like the conclusion of my part a little early, it's this feels like the third official Godzilla reboot. And I know technically that's kind of weird to say because we've had five technically or five series starters with 54, 84, 2000, 2014, and now technically this one, technically Shin. But the
well, it's
thing
its
with
own standalone.
54, yeah, technically. But also because 2000 and 2014 didn't really feel like anything huge for the franchise, if that makes any sense. 84 felt like was a huge tonal shift from the later Showa films, which are a lot more lighthearted and fun and silly by going back to a darker, more serious tone. And and then 2000 and 2014 weren't like that. They were more business as usual with here's Godzilla, here's enemy monster. There you go, we're fighting each other. Yay, fun. So and then after that, so with Shin, when going back to the old 1960s use or themes with ensemble casts and a crazy and unique new take on Godzilla, this feels like the third official reboot of the Godzilla series, if that's a way, or if that makes any sense. And honestly, that's probably why it ranks so high on my list for me. One, because I just find the film really engaging and I find it technically really, really great, but also just because of what it does for Godzilla as a franchise. How it essentially reboots the character once again in a way which now everyone loves again. Because it's no secret that this film got or made bank at the box office and was critically acclaimed in Japan. It took home 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. And now everyone loves it. And this is really the first time I want to say, or I don't even know when. I have to look up like ticket sources for 84 because I think 84 made like about or had like 3 million ticket sales, and then Shin had five, um, something like that, around there, yeah. So, and it just feels like, um, yeah, yeah, Godzilla 84 made 3.2 million, and then Shin made about 5.69. Nice. Um, so that's the reason why I love that film so much. It it gives Godzilla a proper official reboot while sticking with the tried and true methods that made Godzilla such a household name in the first place, and by doing such, made arguably one of the best kaiju films in the entire genre. And scene.
Well, shit, you saved the entire podcast, you know? I gotta congratulate you. So,
Look at you. Look at you. I completely changed your mind.
mostly, I'm just gonna go back and watch Shin Godzilla and see if I feel differently about it. Let's move on to Kong Island, because I do want to talk about this, because
I want to talk about that too. That's another great one.
that, for me, it ranks up at least number 2, and here's a couple reasons why. Because you don't really see, like, a lot of Godzilla films that do take, like, the history of the time going on. I mean, it did for, like, 84, let's say, with the Cold War tension and stuff. But you never got, like, stuff like, for example, like, Vietnam, like what we get here. It's a really new, interesting thing that, when I first saw it, I was like, that's actually pretty good. And when the first trailer came out, you didn't really know much about what was going on, and Kong wasn't really being shown that much in the trailer. And, I mean, but he was still being, like, shown, like, in, like, silhouettes and stuff, and, like, it just helped, like, extend my hype further for the film. Wait, what? Skull Island has a monkey. Shut up! Alright, cutting to when the film actually came out, I didn't actually plan on seeing it in theaters until I did, and I was like, because for me, the film, it's a thrill ride, is what it is. Like, for example, like, let me give you an example, like, sort of like the Jurassic Park ride, or even more thematically correct, the Peter Jackson King Kong ride at, like, Universal. Those, like, it's just more of a thrill ride with, like, highs and lows, like, every now and then. And the characters weren't, like, terrible, but, like, they were, like, sort of in that middle ground where you can get attached to them and, like, cheer them on and stuff, and that's one, like, of the best aspects of it. And the monster action, it cuts away a tiny bit, but not that much, and it's mostly focused on Kong, but the little monsters, like the skull crawlers, which I really like the designs of, it's just really unique in my opinion. They get, like, a good bit of their own screen time, and they do seem more like a threat, so... You just hang out, yeah. Just hang out. Right.
I think if you want to make a fun, light-hearted kaiju film, you need to take in the steps of Kong Skull Island in some way, because honestly, I wouldn't think of another way to possibly perfect a film like that. Not to say that it's perfect.
It's not. It's definitely not, like, perfect, like, in film standards, but it is definitely just a perfect film, and it does, for me, everything what Pacific Rim Uprising couldn't, at being a really fun kaiju film that gives a new, like, gives its own, like, gives its own take to say, like, on the kaiju genre, like, saying in Vietnam and stuff, and so, yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, this is definitely like number 2 or number 3 for me, because it's just like it's hard for me to find, like, really anything to complain about. It's almost, it feels wrong of me to say that it's perfect, but, like, it's really damn good. I love the act, or okay, I guess if there is any kind of complaint that I can make, it's that I think the film really focused on the wrong characters, because
Yeah! What?
the heart of the
For,
film was Hank Marlowe, and most people generally agree that he was the best character alongside Packard,
yeah,
and
because
and
they had so much of a dynamic together, and because
they had
they had the main characters of Tom Hiddleston and what's her face,
Captain Marvel,
Captain Marvel.
Clank,
Let's just call her Captain Marvel. All right. So Captain
or
Marvel and
Clank.
Tom Hiddleston, Clink.
Have you seen Mahler's unbridled meh for Captain Marvel?
No.
Oh, um, in that video, he referred to Captain Marvel as Plank throughout the
Plank.
movie because she barely showed any emotion.
Oh, Brie Larson. Brie
So
Larson. So,
yeah,
okay,
Brie
so
Larson,
Plank. Yeah, because
Plank.
like they do like all the actors do a really solid job, and this was actually one of the first time that they had like a solid casting option for their characters. Um, but I just feel like yeah, I agree with you. They focused on the wrong characters for this because definitely the side characters get so much more development and they get so much like they and honestly I just love the side characters more. Like John Goodman and Samuel L. Jackson's characters were just the best parts of the film because they wait hold on. Found the graveyard scene to be the weak in my opinion. Okay, I can agree with you on that in some regard.
Dillfellow.
Yeah, but Dillfeld, what you said. So one of my favorite parts was when like it was after Kong raided all the helicopters and stuff, which was already a really good scene. But to pull back from that and to see actually a really like just I wouldn't say it's like a respected response, but it's definitely a response that like I guess anyone would give for losing all of their men. Like Samuel Jackson would it's like threaten John Goodman to know why they were actually sent there because he kind of like knows that he was kind of bullshitted into this mission, and so he like trying to get information out of him. So it was like a really just good scene in general between those two characters because the dialogue in it was pretty good. So
Another reaction that I think is that sticks with me a lot is the one scene where I forget the guy's name, but the one guy is just like sitting on a log and he's just like eating some food, and then the other guy is like, and then another guy's like, "Did you not see that we were being attacked by like a 100-foot monkey?" And then the other guy's like, "Yeah, well, we did the best that we could in the situation." And he just keeps eating his food. I don't know. I just really like that interaction.
it was really entertaining. I really liked that. I really liked it. What else do we have to talk about the film? I mean, we can, I guess, talk a bit about the monsters. I guess.
I really like Kong in this movie. He's really cool.
Yeah, he's really buffed up, and it's definitely a really good redesign of the character that I can get behind. And he's not like trying to like protect like one singular character. He's just like trying to fight to maintain his territory. And definitely when the huge Mother Skull Crawler comes out, it's when kind of shit gets real because it's one of the monsters that can actually like have a foothold on Kong and like all the characters for that matter. Which I thought like for me the Skull Crawlers I really like them because it's really a unique redesign with them and the Mutos like for like design wise for the MonsterVerse I just really like them because they're very unique and even though they're like really like minor character like not really they don't really have like much character to them like Godzilla and Kong do um but they're just really like cool design monsters is what I can say about them.
One thing I really like about the Skull Crawlers is how they have the or they go back to the sort of Anno-esque way of going back to previous concept designs and then bringing them back to the modern day. Cause like the Skullcrawlers, they're actually inspired by a two-legged lizard that was in a deleted scene from the original King Kong.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
And
remember
then
that.
I compare it to Hideaki Anno because that's what Anno did for Shin Godzilla, Ava Ghidorah, and that's what he is doing for Shin Ultraman. So that's just a cool comparison.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, um, it. I feel like it was like kind of released at the wrong time because it definitely fits more as like a good summer blockbuster. That I feel like it being released when it was released in March, it just It was like, damn, that's a missed opportunity right there. But I guess they were trying to compete with all the Marvel movies coming out and all that stuff, so I guess I understand that in some regard. But I just feel like it was one of the more underrated kaiju movies because we always talk about 2014 Shin Godzilla, King of Monsters,
Oh,
okay. But
not the anime trilogy, because everyone hates the anime trilogy.
we'll get to that in just a sec. Which I'll have a little disclaimer about it.
One more thing I do have to say about the monsters for Kong Skull Island is I really like how the island isn't just full of
Like
just big
dinosaurs?
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean originally I was like, oh man, they're not gonna have like a T-Rex or something like that, but now in retrospect it's like, oh wow, this is like actually something that's really unique and super cool. And it calls back to John Goodman's line at the beginning of the film. Where he says that that Skull Island is the land where God did not finish creation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene. Can I say go on a side tangent before we move on? The spider thing is terrifying for me, and I don't even hate spiders. It just for me the way that scene was shot, it just really put me off when I was like seeing it in the film because it's disguised as like bamboo like stalks, right? Like that's what it's like
Yeah.
supposed to be. Um,
Yes.
like its legs, and because like you don't even know when it's coming, and the way it's shot, like because remember the part where the guy's like picking up the water, and it's just like you don't see it happen, but the leg goes right through his like through his head. Just,
Mm-hmm.
when I saw it there, I was like, oh, well, I can go cry now. Because then you just like see it like because it's like at that like low camera angle where you like see it like walking above and it's like they don't even know it's there. So yeah, it for me it was like one of the scary parts of the movie, which was fine. It was a good thrill. So overall, underrated movie. Let's move on. What was next?
One more thing. Wait, one more thing about the spider. I, I know a figure I'm getting for you at G Fest.
You ain't there. It's not that I'm terrified of it. It's just the way it was shot in the movie. It just ah.
Remakes that scene for the film contest.
Actually, you can't do that. You can't actually remake scenes. I guess that's how it works. Moving on. What was next? I kind of forgot.
It would have been the anime trilogy, right?
What's the anime trilogy? Let's just move on to King of the Monsters, shall
No, wait. What about Rampage?
we? Okay, let's talk about the anime trilogy. This first film, Planet of the Monsters, I didn't actually watch it. And I'll tell you why. It's because I couldn't get through the opening. Like, for me, you gotta, like, you have to at least sell me in some regard to, like, keep me invested in the movie. And when I was treated to boring exposition and, slow, like, character, like, the slow pacing, that was a bad sign, and I didn't want to keep watching that. I just kind of jumped ship and waited until what was it? City on the Edge of Battle came out to watch that. So why don't you talk about Planet of the Monsters since I don't plan on watching it?
Okay, first of all, you should anyway.
No, I can't sit through. All right, it's like 3.0. It's like I can't accept all these things going on, and it's just it can't. You can't get me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, Zoomer. So, unlike him, I was able to get through Planet of the Monsters, and initially, I did like it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty good. And then after a few more rewatches, it, it lost its charm. It's not a great movie. It's whatever. It's definitely the weak link within the anime trilogy. I think.
So I can agree with that.
And then and then there are really people out here who are like, no, it's the good anime film.
I do
Like
not understand those people. I
I don't
really
I
don't.
don't I don't understand those people either.
It has less. Okay, not only does it have less monster action, but they say the characters are good. When really, I'd rather go with the characters in Shigatsu because actually, that actually made sense. These characters are just
Oh, I love it. Man, do I
extremely.
love Japan.
No, they're just extremely boring. It's because it's because the way the characters are, in a way, they're cliches of just like characters like that you would just find in regular anime, and like for like a mecha anime, for example. And it's like it's not that there's no problem with that. It's the problem of when there's no actual development with the characters. It's like if they took Ford and all the bad aspects about them and they copy them by the entire cast.
So
Because
if every character was Ford,
yeah, the
basically.
passive character role where they just are living the ride is here's the thing, you can do that kind of a film, but you have to at least make the characters have some redeeming attributes or things that get you invested in those characters. You can't just have the characters and just have them develop around that because it just doesn't work in the long run. It makes your characters boring, which if your characters are like take up 90% of the movie, then it makes your film boring.
Fair enough.
All right. Now let's because that's all I have to say about the first film in the anime trilogy. So, is there anything else you want to say?
Aside, well, I guess we could talk about that in part two. But what? All right. Yeah. Um. That's all I have to say. It's just this is the weak link.
Alrighty. After this was Pacific Rim Uprising. Yay!
It sucked.
I mean, you kind of liked it.
I
When I first
liked it
came out,
initially, and then I was like, "Yeah, this is not very good."
and it's really because it screws around. For me, it feels like Independence Day resurgence, and that is not a good thing because it does the same things that film did. It completely screwed around with the original story. Oh, shut up. The Godzilla vs. Kong trailer officially announced to be released on January 9. Let me
Oh,
find.
is it
Where's
now?
your works cited production? Godzilla Productions TV. I've seen
Where's the
too many. Where's
Where's the
your?
trailer tracker
No,
or
wait.
whatever?
Let me check this. I want to check the works cited on that graded essay. Godzilla versus Kong. Let's check. News. Nothing. I don't know. I'm just trying to make fun. CNN. Okay. 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 CNN. CNN. Let's check. Um. I don't see anything, man. Can you send something more? Confirmed? Maybe? Something? Help! I got distracted. Alright, I'm gonna jump back to Pacific Rim Uprising. That just kind of distracted me. It's like, you don't care that, that it could be fake, but at the same time, you care about the film coming out. So, all logic goes out the window. Let's get back to it. Because what Pacific Rim Uprising does right is because it basically copies Independence Day Uprising in the fact that it kind of completely ignores the original film, and it almost makes it as if the original film kind of didn't exist. There's certain aspects of the original film that do exist, but really you don't really need any of the characters from the original film to make this film work. That's what they did with Independence Day Resurgence, and that's what they did here with Pacific Rim Uprising. Second thing, it's not really a story aspect, but just more of the technical aspect. It's just the CGI. They had a bit too much for its own good, like a bit too much action for its own good, because I mean, too much action isn't that bad of a problem. It's just when there's too much of it, like too much. It's just when the Okay, now I'm starting here. Because with the action in Independence Day Uprising, it's like they have these big colossal scale ships flying in and all that stuff. It's like one-upping the original is copying pasting the ships and just adding them, like just enhancing the scale a bit. That's what they did. What they did here for Pacific Rim Uprising, though, is they simply made the monsters and the Jaegers quicker, which would be fine, but because they made them quicker, they lost, like, the weight, and for that matter, like, the camera angles. I mean, they still have, like, these really high camera angles that make the monsters look massive, but it makes the animation feel sort of weightless, and that can have an impact on just, like, how much... Because when you see, like, Independence Day Uprising, goddamn. Because when, like, for example, with the original Pacific Rim, when the Jaeger would come down, like, for example, when Gypsy Danger brought up both fists and, like, slammed it out on a knife head, that looked really cool because it was just, like, a slow build-up and then boom. Here, though, it's like the Jaegers are jumping on the buildings and punching all that stuff, just basic physics that just wouldn't work in Pacific Rim. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't really exactly go to Pacific Rim for physics, but it did have its certain limits. Like, I guess it makes sense for when, like, Otachi was, like, climbing on the buildings, like, at the, when it, like, came ashore. Except it was, like, sort of, like, crashing through them, though. So, like, when it came in. So, I'm gonna say that for right now. Sam, why don't you add something? This is just me and the entire podcast. Sam, add something. Help me.
I do. Yeah, honestly, that's everything I wanted to say.
Ouch.
I'm gonna use that physics argument later for another film, but right now I'm just gonna save that for later.
Okay.
You didn't you want to talk about characters?
Oh yeah, characters. I didn't watch the film, so I don't know really much about the characters, but I know, like, two important things about that, though. Because I know that one of the characters, Charlie Day, like his character, was somehow made the villain in this? How? They just kind of just winged it, and it kind of ruins the original character and, like, the fun that the original character had. And what's her name? Mako? Like, she's just kind of there. She doesn't really add too much to the film other than, oh, it's one of the original characters. What happened to Rowley? We'll never know.
So you don't know what happened to, or how Newt became a villain.
I don't know. I mean, is it because of the brain? The kaiju brain.
Damn it, you know about the brain.
I mean, I know that's what
So
powered Obsidian Fury, which I haven't seen that fight, but I saw clips of it.
you have no idea how giddy I was when it was revealed that Obsidian Fury had a kaiju brain. I was just like,
I mean,
oh yeah.
it kind of makes sense. I know. Okay, that I did know. Mako did die. It's just, was there a point to killing her, other than we can kill off original characters and we don't have to do stuff like that. Actually, one last thing about the whole comparison between Pacific Rim Uprising and this, um, how they left off the film of like, oh, now we're taking the fight to the kaijus. Oh, now we're taking the fight to the aliens. Doesn't really set up for a sequel very well, does it? It really doesn't. Because once you left a sour taste in your mouth, like what they did, it doesn't really.
You don't really want one.
You don't really want one, exactly. I mean, for me, it just kind of felt like a bit of a disappointment. Not really even much of a failure, just kind of disappointing, because it still made a lot of money. It just, for me, it was kind of disappointing because you lost the original, the charm that this film, like, that Pacific Rim originally had, with its characters, with its action, and with its story. So, that's all I'll say about Pacific Rim Rising. Again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know that much about it, but I do know how certain scenes play out and how the film plays out for the most part.
So wait, do you or do you not know how Newt became the villain?
I don't exactly.
You can't see, but I'm twiddling my fingers right now. This this is where the fun begins. So throughout the film, Newt talks about this person or this this person I forget what he or what the name was, something like Abigail or whatever. And then later on in the film, it's revealed that the the person that he was talking about was another kaiju brain, and he drifts and
Here's
he
the thing.
drifts.
I'm gonna interrupt here. I'm just sorry. I'm gonna interrupt here.
All right.
Um, why? Here's the question. Why would he be doing that? Was there any sort of development that he, like, was researching the brain that he just kind of got taken over? Because if that's the case, that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, he just like there was like no motivation behind that. If you're saying it the way you did.
I think it actually was like because he did more research into kaiju brains and he got like addicted to it, and I think it's implied that the brain from that he's drifting with is the same. Oh wait, no, it's not the same brain because he drifted with Otachi's brain, and that was
that was the Otachi baby brain.
Same thing. Same thing. Shut up. So.
But that one was dead. It kind of died.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes until brain death or whatever. So different brain, and I think it's like the way that the scene is, like the reveal.
Wait,
of
now
that
how did they get the kaiju brains though to be able to do that?
Okay.
Oh.
You know what? You can and also the way that the scene plays out is really uncomfortable, because it's treated in a really sexual manner, and that's just really uncomfortable.
Shit. Now I don't want to watch the movie.
You shouldn't watch it anyway.
I don't want it, because I don't want to ruin Pacific Rim for me.
Right.
I just know that certain aspects ruin it, and that's how they ruin the character, though. Like, no, just.
And then later on, it's revealed that Newt got taken over by like the aliens from the first Pacific Rim, like the ones that you saw like in the Breach world, and and he's trying to bring, and he's doing like the rest of their work, and then he tries to bring back all of the monsters, and then obviously some of them get through, and the final battle happens, and he has a bunch of little mini kaiju that all run towards the three other ones, and then they fuse together into the big one, and then yeah. It's stupid. It's really stupid.
Didn't they reveal the whole fight in one of the trailers though?
I think so, yeah. But
Yeah.
like also, I just want to say though, I when I saw it in theaters, I really liked how he was just or how Charlie Day was just hamming up his performance. It was so good.
I think it's really because he knew that the character just like kind of went downhill, so he was just trying to make it work because Charlie Day is a good actor. He can make a bad. I guess he can make a bad script work.
Yeah.
So, which admittedly there isn't that like because I remember seeing like one of the scenes where him and where Newt and Herman like are on like an elevator. Is it like have it for like maybe like a minute or so, sort of like Captain America soldiers elevator scene.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay. So I think we kind of covered that on our feelings on it. It's one of the weakest points for kaiju movies this decade. It just kind of it was kind of a failure in execution, and it's not even because Guillermo del Toro didn't direct it. I think it's really just it was a problem in the writing because the characters weren't written well. I mean, the actors all did a solid job with their roles. It's just because for me, like an actor can do a good job with their character, but at the end of the day, if the character's not written well, then the character's just kind of gonna suffer. So that's all I'm just gonna say. So like you can have like A-list actors and stuff, but if they're not given like a good role, or like not even like a good role, but like if their characters aren't written well for their role, then it's not gonna do well. So that's all I'll say. 0 out of 10. Wouldn't watch it again. Never did. So. All right. Moving on. What was next? Rampage. I didn't watch it, so I just know a giant mutated wolf.
No. I've memorized it.
How about this? You just say that, and we'll just go with that for Rampage.
For your thoughts.
Yeah, for my thoughts. Wait, let me
okay.
just wait. Where's the copy pasta? I'll just read off that.
No, I know. No, I know it by heart.
No. Wait, I found it.
Should we just read it simultaneously?
No.
Just for the.
No, because this is my thoughts. I need this. All right, I need this. A gigantic mutated wolf. A gigantic mutated crocodile that's the size of a football field that could kick the shit out of Godzilla against me and my best friend George, who is a rare albino gorilla. And let me tell you something right now. Me and George, we get our asses kicked. And I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but Jesus Christ. Ha ha ha. But we don't quit. Enjoy Rampage. That's still funny. I do not care what you say. Alright, now you give your thoughts on Rampage.
Okay. Is anyone out here actively disagreeing with that?
No, I guess not.
Okay. My thoughts on Rampage. A gigantic mutated wolf. I did like the movie. I enjoyed it. It's stupid. It's fun. It's a good old fashioned turn your brain off kind of movie. it's not very deep. It's not like Kong Skull Island or Shin Godzilla where there's actual like it's more on the Kong Skull Island spectrum than the Shin Godzilla spectrum. I like I mean because the film is very light on characterization. And by that I mean it barely has any, but like whatever. So like in the aspects of like a film, it's not really that good. But in terms of like just being a fun movie, it is what it is, and that's why I like it. Probably top 5. So, yeah. That's all I have to say. Also the fights are really good. George, Ralph, and Lizzie are all really fun characters. And they all and yeah, they're all fun. Sorry,
Alright.
The Rock did say Lizzie could win against Godzilla, which is objectively true.
Everything The Rock says is objectively true, so I can agree with that too.
Didn't Rampage beat King of the Monsters at the box office? Hold
It
on.
did! Didn't it? Wait, look, I'll look it up.
Hold on. No. I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. Okay. Rampage. Okay, so Rampage made Where'd it go? Where Box Office Mojo is weird now. Okay, it made 428 million at the box office, and that counts both for domestic and international. And then King of the Monsters made
It made, wait, 130, wait, it was,
King
the,
of the Monsters made 385 million.
yeah,
So
385. That's
so
both US and
Lizzie
worldwide.
did so the gigantic mutated crocodile did technically beat the shit out of Godzilla.
Wait, who's retracting, oh wait, he's probably doing it. Wow.
Also, I mean, yeah, Lizzie would beat Godzilla. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, it's just cool design, in my opinion. I really liked it.
Sick ass design.
L to the
Liddy design.
Monsterverse, W to the piss your pants action. Okay, yes. Let's move on to Sitting on the Edge of Battle.
Good movie. Solid movie.
Half solid.
No, it's just a solid movie.
Half solid.
Shut up, you're wrong. You know
Let's
what?
meet somewhere in the middle and just say it was a gas one. A gas
It's
movie.
solid.
It's not. It's gas. It's liquid. It's everything but solid.
It's a lol squid.
No, with Sitting on the Edge of Battle, it did some things better. Like, it gave some more development to certain characters. Even though it was slightly cliched, I can still appreciate most of that. And for a good 5 minutes, the stuff about the nanometal was actually pretty cool and interesting and unique. I was like, hey, I can actually get invested with this. It's a little snippet into the world, a little world building here. I like this. It was until they dragged it on for way too long that I felt like I don't need to hear that the nanometal had like children or whatever. All right, I get it. All right, it's nanometal.
The Bill Saluto's entire or every piece of dialogue from the Bill Saluto essentially boils down to something 20,000 years, something about nanometal, Mecha Godzilla.
Oh my god, you give
Bum
one of the
bum bum
best
bum bum bum
representations, and
bum
it's
bum bum.
terrifying how accurate that is.
Don't thank me, thank Monstrosities. They were the one who came up with it. I'm just the messenger.
I'm just the messenger. The only Godzilla that contends against Lizzie is the 70s Chadley Showa has having broken abilities.
Yes, I love using my flight, tail slide, and magnet powers.
Okay. I thought the end fight, even though they teased Mechagodzilla, a lot in the promotional images, and that isn't what we ended up getting, I still kind of appreciate the end fight because it was for me it was objectively better than what happened at the end of like the mechanical suit fight or whatever it was in before Godzilla came out in the finale. It was that fight before. I just thought that this fight was better because it just had like better action in it and
Part
actually much better stakes with the nanometal now. And that part was like really cool because it's like, oh shoot, now nanometal's taking over everyone. Oh shoot.
there's like actual stakes aside from yeah, let's beat Godzilla, why not?
That's why I really like that. Um,
And then
but
I think the final fight's just a better execution of the fight from Planet of the Monsters.
yeah, let's say that.
It's so much like more unique in a way. Cause like you got the vultures, they're all zipping and zooming around, and Godzilla's moving around. He's like super slow and stuff. And then you have and then okay, you know what? I'm just gonna jump into it. I love Godzilla Earth. He is so cool, especially in this movie. I think that Godzilla Earth is at his prime in this film. How he, how he's treated and how like he just operates. He peaked in this film because even though he's like super slow and he barely moves, which I don't really care about that anyway. Just the
I
sheer
kind of do.
power that
It
he
makes the film take way too long than it should. I get what they're trying to do. Godzilla's super huge. It's like, wow, he's never been this huge before. Holy crap, he's actually proving to be somewhat a threat. Or is he? I think Goodyear 5400 brings up an interesting point. He's much slower. He won't see you as well. It's like a tree, and the fruit flies flying around the tree. It's like you're not gonna really see them too well.
well, then there's like the scene of him shooting his atomic breath at Mechagodzilla City, and
Yeah, I
then
remember that.
the shield it deflects the atomic breath, and it, and then you get those shot of like the devastation from all of that, and it's like, so that's what he can do. Okay, this, okay, that he's a threat right there for a trilogy that is primarily all tell and no show. That's some pretty cool like show don't tell storytelling, I think.
Mm.
It gives you a sense that this is easily because we already knew that like 50-meter Godzilla was already powerful, but Godzilla Earth now is just such a more powerful and dangerous threat, and it works better, I guess. It makes sense.
I want to go back to what you said about show don't tell, and it has something to do with the anime trilogy as a whole of why for me it just doesn't work. They have way too much exposition about what's going on to like try and get you invested, but it's like it drags you out to sleep. It's like you could be showing this with some cool neat visuals, or better yet just like have scenes that like have those certain aspects of whatever the exposition has. Like when the nanomodel was like first revealed with the arrows and stuff, that was actually like really cool. And then they jumped into what the nanomodel was, and for like I said, for like 5 minutes, it was like okay, that's kind of cool. But then it started to drag me out to sleep because they were talking about it for so long. It's
That's
like
what I yeah, that's what I was bringing up with Godzilla Earth for a trilogy that it or like Godzilla Earth and his power levels. They for a trilogy that is mostly just tell don't show, they do show his that he is that powerful. And even then, like earlier in the film, Metphys is like, well, this Godzilla is 6 times bigger than the previous one, so he could always be way more powerful. And then, sure enough, later in the film, he's way more powerful.
um,
And then, I don't know if you're looking over Dillafello's comment
but there's
about
three
how
of them in an open area. Even though they're small, he could probably see them easily. Yeah, but once they like get around him, it's not like Shin Godzilla where he has like back beams where like he can actually like detect sort of like where like the B-2 bombers were. Um, it's not like that because he's just a lumbering mass to say the least. Where he
He
has
does
like
that a couple, or he does detect them at least a couple times though. Like when he uses the oscillatory ray again,
yeah, I
that's
went
he
yeah.
spotted those. When he actually did it like 3 times, I think. That the oscillatory ray when he spotted Yuko's vulture and she was like all flying around, and then he shot the beam at that, and then while he was in Mechagodzilla's trench, he shot his beam at or he shot his beam at Haruo's vulture, and then it like bounced around the particles, and then it went into the city. So he did miss, but whatever. Um,
Actually, one thing I want to touch on,
Feel
it
free to.
didn't like they throw like all the supply of nukes at Godzilla at the beginning of Monster Planet. Apparently,
They threw like 150 of them at Godzilla, but
and these are like
um,
basically like Hiroshima-sized nukes.
the only reason that he wasn't or the only reason that he wasn't hurt was because of the shield that he has.
Yeah,
He also really attacks in
here's the real
a
problem
bigger
with that though. They
flesh.
made Godzilla too powerful, and so it doesn't even really feel like there's real stakes with it. At least until Planet Eater, which I'll get into. So we
City
kind
on
of
Battle was, I mean, City on Battle was kind of like that.
yeah.
We know that because we do know that the whole plan with the harpoons and the shield organ does work. So obviously, amplifying that to a much bigger level would mean that it would probably work for Godzilla Earth. But sure enough, he doesn't really need it because he's just that big.
Hmm, okay. What was the next kill on the list? Other than that, I thought it was a half-baked masterpiece. Just could have been way better though.
Are we gonna talk about Mechagodzilla?
Mechagodzilla, okay, a little bit. I mean, I remember seeing D-Man's video on like how Mechagodzilla says the perfect character, like the perfect antagonist, which I disagree strongly. Um, because it, in a way, because with Mechagodzilla City, like they had Mechagodzilla, and we were expecting to see Mechagodzilla, and I don't even care that they like teased Mechagodzilla, and all we got was Mechagodzilla City. I can guess get behind it so much. I only saw like one or two of the trailers, but um, with I mean that's just a fault of the advertising company. But with
That's not,
Mechagodzilla
yeah, it's not the
City,
fault of the film itself.
yeah, but with Mechagodzilla City, it's not really so much as Mechagodzilla City has a character as the nanometal is just like almost like a disease, like that kind of a threat, and so that's just kind of how that works out. It just didn't really have me invested so much. I could get behind it, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, it's not really working for me.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Oh, great. Brace for impact, you go.
So, so okay, I'm just gonna start by dropping this nuclear take on everyone, all 6 of us in the chat. Um, Aside from Showa Mechagodzilla, the anime Mechagodzilla is my favorite version of the character.
Okay.
See, it's funny when I do it because I take that so much further. But when I don't know, whatever. Um, like, I mean, I guess sort of going off of what you said with D-Man's video. Um, I
It's
don't, I don't.
Mechagodzilla isn't really a character in this for me.
He's a force, just like Godzilla,
Yeah.
and that's why I think an equally appropriate name as Mechagodzilla City is Mechagodzilla Earth because it is just Godzilla Earth as a robot, essentially. they fulfill the same purpose in the story. And there's also or Blue Nova talked about this in his review of City on the Edge Battle. They basically there was the idea of, or I'll actually get to that point later. But there was the whole thing about how Godzilla kind of like duplicated the entire planet to be just like him, or like the Earth evolved around him just to be like him. And then Mechagodzilla kind of took took over the entirety of Mount Fuji to basically become like him, and he duplicated the production facility and all of that, um and then for Blue Nova's point, he brought up the especially sinister point that Mechagodzilla's one command was to kill Godzilla or anything that is like Godzilla. And then you see that in the film or Mechagodzilla like shoots out harpoons at Servum, and he nanometalizes them. And Metphys later on during the final battle brings up the point of that if the Bill of Saludo have this victory, then the entire Earth can be consumed by Godzilla or Mechagodzilla. So
Yeah.
I find that to be a really cool or I just find it to be like really cool how Godzilla and Mechagodzilla are like one and the same. They're like different sides of the same coin. Like I thought of this while you were talking about Mechagodzilla, but I like how but whereas Godzilla Earth is Godzilla as he actually is and how he terraformed his environment, Mechagodzilla is how the characters view Godzilla's terraforming of the planet. They view it as a disease and they view it as a problem. So, and that's exactly what Mechagodzilla is doing. And Mechagodzilla, admittedly, is inherently worse than what Godzilla is doing. And Godzilla, he's really just going on the offensive throughout most of the anime trilogy. In Planet of the Monsters, he sensed that that everyone was there and the ships and stuff, and he shot them all down. And then once Godzilla Filius was killed, Godzilla Earth woke up and took out the ships because they killed Filius. And then in this film, Godzilla woke up because Mechagodzilla City was reactivated, and in Planet Eater, he woke up because they were summoning an Eldritch Abomination to the Earth. So, whereas with Mechagodzilla, he takes down any foreign property that you see. So like the Servum and kind of like Godzilla, he like just nanometalizes them and then takes them out one by one. So I think that's why I love this version of Mechagodzilla so much. It's for the thematic purpose of the story. And like how so I guess in that way Mechagodzilla can be viewed as the perfect antagonist. And there we go. I just made a better Mechagodzilla the perfect antagonist video than D-Man ever could.
Okay.
Let's MG
jump
City
ship
and Ghidorah.
now.
I'm just gonna read some of Dilla's comments, if you don't mind.
Okay, fine
then. So MG City and Ghidorah being limited is definitely due to time and budget, which is why I'm no longer upset or critical over them cutting corners in order to have those two characters in their films. That makes sense. I see that.
Okay.
What about it's time and budget, which is why he doesn't really criticize that anymore.
I guess for me, because now that he brings up that comment, it makes me wonder, what if the series was simply like a true anime in the sense that it was a seasonal thing where they would make um one like season, see how well it does, and then they make another season with more funding and stuff. And if they had more time to develop that season and like the characters with like just develop the characters and stuff, then people would like want to come back and want to see the next season. And actually, it makes more sense for why Godzilla wouldn't be showing up so much. I guess.
It was because of time and it was because of budget.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's what they were originally planning to do, but Toho wanted the films in theaters to scrape off any financial earnings. So,
wait, what do you mean?
from what I've heard, the series was originally gonna be, or the trilogy was originally gonna be an animated series, but then Toho wanted um wanted the anime to be released in theaters to ride off the success of Shin Godzilla, which I think makes a lot of sense because early concept art for the film goes back all the way to about 2015, which would mean that the series would be well into production by the time that Shin Godzilla would have come out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Toho seeing the success would have been like, well, looks like we can scrape off a few more bucks off of all of this.
How
And then
well did the anime trilogy do? Actually, let me look up. Planet of the
not well.
Monsters. Yeah,
They didn't do well at all. From what I've
you
heard, they
think
were, like,
after
limited
like the
releases,
first
too.
one, they think, oh, maybe we should just make it a series and give the people what they want.
The previous lowest ticket grossers were, because Japan is more focused on ticket sales rather than like box office gross. The before the anime trilogy, the lowest grossing was Terra Mechagodzilla, which got about 0.9 million, and then City on the Edge of Battle, which is the lowest grossing now, has 0.05 million. So
Oh
they did.
Jesus!
So yeah, they did. Thankfully, it got a little better with Planet Eater, and then Planet of the Monsters was better than both of those. But it's still they did not do very well at all.
Wait, you
Which
mean
is
Planet Eater was like the worst?
Planet Eater was in the middle.
In the middle. Oh, jeez, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Because if they just simply went the route of the series and maybe made one movie, sort of like what Evangelion did, they made the one series, and then when Hideaki Anno got more funding, he made the movie. So, which still had the correct
What he made?
budget.
What he made the movie at? He made the movie as in End of Eva.
Yeah, End of Eva. Well, then again, he made
Death
Death and
that's not.
Rebirth, but that was like kind of in the middle. That was
Well,
before.
that's not true.
What do you mean?
End of Eva was made as a response to all of the fan backlash for episodes 25 and 26. And the only reason the originals were so low budget was because the original ending was sabotaged by a train a train bombing that mirrored similar events to what was originally going to be 25 and 26. So Ano and his team had to basically scramble to write a new ending for the show. It's like how many shows in the early 2000s were kind of like scrambling to write new episodes after the events of the September 11th attacks. It's kind of like that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense now, I guess. Because, I mean, those episodes weren't terrible in a way. They kind of make sense. Like, because it's like a therapy session. It's not the greatest thing, but and it's not even like the greatest ending to end the show off ever, but it's not even like the worst. End of Eva is a bit of a mixed bag in the way it ends off things, but it definitely was a much needed segment of the series.
Well, okay, and No, slow down there, buddy. That's my favorite film. Calm down now.
Whoa there, Mom.
um, the reason that these films did so poorly is because Toho did not put much money into marketing them due to them banking on the Netflix release. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They, I mean, they only put out like 2 trailers for City on the Edge and Planet Eater. So,
Which with
and
Planet
then
Eater, it's like they didn't even try with the trailer since they showed a lot of what was happening.
they show the the second trailer for Planet Eater came out after the film was already released in theaters.
Not really good.
So
All right, what are we on now?
So they
wait,
didn't
sorry.
really have Planet Eater.
What were you saying though?
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Toho did not intend these films to be successes, which is evident in their marketing, time of release, and how it didn't take long for them to go to Netflix. Yeah, that makes sense. All that sounds perfectly reasonable and sound. Because also these are like Netflix movies originally. They have the Netflix logo branded onto them. So, which I don't know about the theatrical releases, but
All right. Um,
so City on the Edge,
we've been on
all
the
right,
City on the Edge of Battle for a while now, haven't we?
yeah, but that was also because of the like box office and other stuff.
All right, let's jump into Planet Eater, and I got a lot to say about it because for me and Sam, I can kind of agree that it was objectively one of the best in the trilogy. Still had problems, but it definitely retained a good bit of qualities that the other films didn't have, or at least halfly like tried to fix those qualities. So, do you want to start first, or should I start first?
You can start first.
Okay.
Since I
So
took
with
up a lot of
Planet
the
Eater,
talking for the
I
previous.
I felt like with the main characters, like they really like hit it home in making sure like they like met Fees and I can't remember any of the I can't remember the character's name. I'm sorry.
Haruo?
Haru. Haru and Mephis, the way their dynamic works makes sense. Even though like sometimes I can feel like his motivations, like Mephis' motivations, did kind of change a bit too quickly for him to be the antagonist. In a way, it makes sense though for his character though, because we see in the movies that he's this like kind of a distant character. We don't know much about him, and he's just like kind of the religious zealot in a way, and so he can be like slightly like, oh wait, he could be is. I'm trying to find like a good representation. In a way, it's like I'm gonna bring up Halo real quick, but like of how like they shit now I've kind of lost my point. Give me a second here. Hold on.
Yeah, you did. Sorry, what? um. So I don't know where Ryan went. Okay.
He's the Halo representation. I will later. With Mephis, the way like his character like interacts with Haru, it's they kind of play off each other in a like in a way similar to like I use the representation of like Seven, because that's just one of my favorite movies, and in a way, Mephis is similar to the main villain of the movie John Doe. Both have really are like religious zealots, seeking to like to please higher power, and are willing to like do anything to like get to their goal. And that's one other thing I like about Mephis is like he's motivated and he's persistent, and that's what actually makes him kind of scary. In fact, like he is played up to be somewhat of a like uh, intimidating is the word I use a time villain in this to Haru, because it's like he has all the power. When he like sends him to that like weird dimensional thing where he's like reliving all the memories. Even though that scene dragged on for way too long than it should have, I just felt like thematically it fits super well, and it's one of the reasons why I love Mephis so much. So
Great villain, good villain. Aside from motivations, great villain, good villain.
not really
Basically.
so much of the motivation. It kind of makes sense for his character, except he's still a great villain, and he's one of the better ones that we've gotten in a really long time.
Probably like one of the best human villains in a kaiju film. Or in a Godzilla film, aside from like Controller Planet X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't you touch on some stuff? Because I was gonna think some more stuff about the monster fights and stuff.
Yeah, I'll give an overview and characters and stuff.
Yeah.
I
Right.
really like I also or I really like Planet Eater. Um it's very good. Like it. Probably probably top 3 of the decade. Top 3, maybe top 4. It kind of flip-flops between that film and Rampage, but whatever.
Wait, I thought number
Um
2 was Wait, number 3 like. Because I thought you said like Kong Island was like number 2 or number 3. They're
it
constantly changing,
flip-flops.
aren't they?
It constantly flips between the 3 of those.
Okay.
Kong, Planet Eater, and Rampage. They all flip. But I think Kong is like cemented at second place, and then Planet Eater and Rampage flip. So, um, I do think that I really do like a lot of the character development that goes on. Like Haruo cements himself as easily one of my favorite characters, probably in the entire series. I love his growth across all 3 of the films, and I love how realistically his character is handled, even by like the film's end, which I don't know if you want to talk about that in like a different section, but
I mean, we
mm,
kind of already talked about the ending in the original podcast we did back in January.
but
Um,
that was that podcast. This is this one.
but the thing is with the ending though, it does somewhat make sense for the character. I just don't think for me that quick of a snap, like of the change. Like he went from like, oh, living out life is in the remnants of Godzilla City to, oh, I gotta kill myself. I gotta bring Mako, not Mako. What? Characters. I cannot remember that. Only like King of the Monsters
Yuko.
can. Yuko, same difference. Um, Yuko, I like have to bring, like, I have to get on the last um, robot thing and just kill myself now. So it just felt like way too quick of a change for me to like get attached to get invested with that. Like, yeah, that makes sense. In the long run, it makes sense, but for me, it just no. Horrors, but God damn it, that was. Why did that have to happen? Why did we need that for fan service? We didn't need that fan service.
Anime thoughts. Anime thoughts. So, um, I guess since you talked about it, I really think I really do like the ending. It ranks among my favorite scenes of the trilogy. Um, and I like how realistically it's handled in the human sense. It's like, yeah, I've held on to this hate for Godzilla for so long, and then I don't know what will happen because Mephies does state that Ghidorah will be back to as long as he still exists and hates Godzilla, then he will always do that. Um, yeah, he killed himself to take out the last 3 threats of the world: hatred of the old past, the return of Ghidorah, and the last remnant of Mechagodzilla City. Freaking stole the words right out of my mouth, Dillafell. God damn it. I was trying to make something really cool and poetic out of that. Also, and I think it's really cool how it portrayed how he isn't just like, oh, okay, now that all threats to the world are gone, kiss, everything's all hunky dory. Like, no, he still hates Godzilla, and he still wants to like, and he still sees himself as a threat to the world, and he goes and sacrifices himself. It's realistic. It's really cool. I love it.
Okay.
And like a lot of people say, it's unrealistic, but like
I think it's just because it happened too quickly for me, at least. If it took a
that's fair.
few more minutes to develop of why he would, then that would make more sense. Like he had his own character moment, other than just a vision of Mephis telling him, "I win," because Ghidorah could come back because of the progression of humanity and stuff with Mechagodzilla. So yeah.
Yeah. And then monster fights.
Oh, the monster fights. One of the
Or the
weakest aspects of one of the weaker aspects, but in a way, like there are certain parts of it that I do like. Like when Ghidorah first comes down out of the black hole from the sky, I thought that was really cool. And then when Godzilla shot his beam and it like deflected off him, I was like, well, this Ghidorah can actually put on a fight now. I just didn't like how Ghidorah didn't really do much. He was just sucking the essence out of him, like some sort of Estus flask. Just like a reverse Estus flask, just sucking all the energy out of him.
Yeah, just the whole thing with Ghidorah coming down from the black hole, that he and Godzilla confronting each other, Godzilla shooting his atomic breath, Ghidorah deflecting it, Ghidorah charging at Godzilla, then biting him on the shoulder, then the other two heads come down and biting him. That's cool. And then they just keep biting for 15 minutes, and then it just
like,
kind of
it goes
drags.
nowhere. And then after that happens, like, and Haru rips the eye out of Mephis' head. That it just kind of goes downhill for Ghidorah from there. Ghidorah's first head just fades out, then Godzilla just like shoots the last one. Like I don't know, he breaks one of the jaws of one of them.
I think also like during the fight, it would have been like cool maybe to have like Godzilla maybe like shake off one of the heads, and then he shoots his atomic breath right at it, only for it like to deflect once again, and then the other Ghidorah to like bite his head or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it just would have made the fight like slightly more entertaining and tolerable. Or
I just thought of that right off the spot.
So,
that's already pretty cool.
So the trade-off in this is that there are like some actually like good character development between the two main characters, the hero and the antagonist, Haru and Mephis.
Great character development over less monsters, over less cool stuff with the monsters. Aside from Ghidorah, which is
wait, Dillafell, I have to disagree with you. I feel like it didn't really feel character driven in the first one. Neither did it feel more like action driven in the first one. It picked up a little steam with both qualities, and then it ended it off somewhat well in the third one. That's the only way I can sum up these movies, basically, for me.
I can definitely see where he's coming from. These films are definitely a lot more character focused than, well, I guess like technically all Godzilla films are character focused, but there's like a really strong emphasis on the characters and their interactions and dialogue as opposed to, or like as opposed to, dang it, I lost my train of thought. But how could Godzilla shake off one of the heads if it's not a physical being? I don't know. He could find a way. I believe in him.
It just would make the fight a bit more entertaining. Sam the fucking guy.
I'm sorry, what? What are all these comments that I'm not seeing?
Wait, are we talking about No, we're talking about Planet Eater. Hamster.
We're talking about the better Godzilla and Ghidorah movie. And
Not
there
since King of
goes
the
the
Monster.
audience.
Not since King of the Monster.
Nah. Sorry. Planet Eater's still better.
Shut up. Shut up, fiend.
No. Broke. King of the Monsters is the best Godzilla and Ghidorah movie. Woke. Planet Eater's the best Godzilla and Ghidorah movie. Super woke. Godzilla vs. Evangelion Ride is the best King Ghidorah movie.
Yes, okay. We can agree on that. Okay, now, we kind of touched on Planet Eater last, so let's skip through that. I hold it at somewhat of a good stand on my top 5, but it ain't that great, though. I put it on, like, the 5 scale.
I give it like a 7.
Okay, fine.
And then 7 or 8, maybe.
Alright. Next we shall talk about,
Kingu Obu Monster Wazoo.
King of the Monsters. Definitely a way to finish strong with this, decade. To say the least.
Debatable. No.
No. Wait, it's thematically better than Kadam and has more to dissect and talk about.
That I agree with.
Okay, fine.
Technically,
I can agree with that.
There's more in-depth discussion about the positives in Planet Eater than the positives of King of the Monsters, and then King of the Monsters is more in-depth discussion about the negatives. I think.
I guess.
I guess.
Okay, so King of the Monsters is really good. That's no secret. I guess I think we're all definitely in agreement, and it's one of my. I think why this year turned out so well is because this film really did help bring the fan base together. Because we've been so divided on, oh, these films aren't great. Oh, we need good in them. Blah blah blah. I mean, I am a little salty that the characters could have at least, like the human characters at least, could have been somewhat better. But that's kind of forgivable when you think about how most of the monsters have their own type of because they're motion capture suits, and because the CGI is kind of in their favor, the monsters kind of take on their own characters. Like Godzilla didn't really have much to do as like a worn out fighter in 2014, and that's about it. But in King of the Monsters, he's just, like you said, super angry and pissed off, and you can tell that because they're doing that. This is what they're doing well. In the CGI, they're giving. There's not even like really much facial expression, but they're giving just enough where you can notice that. Like you can see, oh, Godzilla's hella pissed. Oh, Godzilla's somewhat understanding. Oh, something better than just static. And that's good about it. I want to jump into Rodan before I jump into Ghidorah, because for me, Rodan was my favorite of the bunch for these monsters, because
up top.
Yeah, up top, my man.
Oh yeah. Also, before you get more in depth with Rodan, brought the fan base together. Where were you when the Rotten Tomatoes score dropped?
well, we were brought together on hating Rotten Tomatoes.
Characters and story don't matter in monster movies.
I wasn't there, though. I wasn't there.
Well, of course you weren't there. We actually know.
Because
no.
I'll talk about the characters in a second, but Rodan, for me, like he wasn't really he didn't really have much character-wise, but for me was just a fantastic monster because he got the perfect redesign that he's been severely lacking for all the movies he's been in. Only like Final Wars was he like actually cool. Don't at me. With King of the Monsters, he's this firebird of death, and it's just really cool. And his flight scenes are just awesome, and the jet fight, it's so good.
I mean, I'd say he's kind of fun in Ghidorah 3 and the Monster, and Monster Zero, because he has like all that personality.
Yeah, I guess.
He's kind of like a coward. It's pretty fun to watch.
I guess so.
But like, I will say that that 2019 Rodan is still my favorite.
Yeah.
Design wise and character wise.
I want to. I mean, I'll touch on. Let me touch on Mothra a little bit because Mothra I felt like was the weakest of like it. I can say like this monster had somewhat of a character, but Mothra, like did
Debatable.
okay. No. Because let me say this: what they did right with Mothra is they did make her into the like heavenly being that like we always like thought of her to be in the Godzilla series, but that's all I can say about that. I just thought the like whole god race thing at the beginning when she like came down from the skies, like pointing out where Godzilla was, which is really cool. That's all I got to say about that. She has a cool design. I'll say that. Now Ghidorah. Oh boy, I remember Whalezilla had a thought. What if like because they're like different motion capture heads? What if the heads like snapped at each other and that was like actually a thing? And I really like that because it's like each head, like we already know they have their own personality, and that I liked when the jets went pew pew and Rodan went roar, and then he did the big sonic boom thing, and it made me shut up.
I mean, that is basically like our thoughts.
Yeah. um. Oh wait. I lost my train of thought. Ghidorah. Like each head has its own personality, and that's what I like about it. It's such a unique take on the character. I mean, I guess all the heads are in agreement of like killing Godzilla and all that stuff, but
I mean,
they like
would you really? I mean, would you really say it's as unique as an eldritch god from another dimension?
debatable.
No, not. That's not even That's not even debatable. That's just.
Stop. All
Shut
right.
up, boomer.
Why don't you discuss what you thought of the monsters as getting their own characters while I think of the actual characters.
So I'll just go in your order. I really Godzilla. I do appreciate the expressions. He's always pissed off, and I do like that. But it just still feels like he's kind of lacking in a way.
Like how?
I would have wished that he would have had like more motivation, or like a more visible motivation aside from like I don't really like this guy.
I mean, we do get
He's kind
some
of a
of the
jerk.
like backstory with like Ghidorah being like Monster Zero originally being like just being this
An invasive
monster like
species.
yeah an invasive species that like took over to like take Godzilla's throne. So that's like how their motivations stack up there, and that's exposition done right. All right, that's something I can get behind. Anime trilogy, take some notes.
Okay, Zoomer. So yeah, I really like Godzilla, but I do think that he could have maybe just had a teeny bit more maybe just a bit more extra added to him to make him, really, really great. Rodan, he was really great. I liked, obviously the design, wonderful, best Rodan design ever. Like, it's not.
Wait,
Don't
I
even
forgot
try
to
and come
mention
up.
a little something. Remember the part when the jet like sort of flies away from him, and then he does that little smirk?
Oh yeah.
It really like when I like first noticed it, I was like, "Oh shit, here we go again." Because it was like,
But
"Damn, I know it." Because that's what I love about the CGI because it helps get express like the characters of the monsters and like that little smirk. It's just enough to like be like, that's something I haven't seen in a long time. So.
yeah, and I really like I really like this new characterization of Rodan, where he's just kind of sort of like a wild card, and he follows whoever's the biggest titan around. Um, I will admit though, he does get like the short end of the stick in terms of like stuff that he actually does, because like he's really there just to be Ghidorah's lackey, and nothing really else. He's
It's
just
still
there
good
most of the
though.
time.
It's still good though.
It's still good, but like he doesn't, aside from like his scene with the jets, he doesn't really do much other than like keep Mothra away from Godzilla and Ghidorah's fight.
Which is good. It's nice that there's like some dog fights happening in the like with the flight monsters, because you get somewhat of that with Ghidorah and Rodan in that one fight, but not really too much. Which that's for me cutting away from the action a bit better than yeah 2014.
Yeah, and I wish we did get to see more of Mothra and Rodan's dogfight.
Yeah.
Because there's just like that one like shot of Rodan just like tackling Mothra into that building and then like throwing her up again, and then Mothra using like and then like Mothra sort of clawing at him. Like that's so cool.
It's like, why didn't we get more of that? It would have made the movie 50 times better.
Like if Mothra like just like shot out her god rays, and then Rodan was like, my eyes.
Yeah. You were gonna touch on Mothra next?
Yeah. Mothra, she's fine. She's basically just like the 2003 or 1964 versions, which are already the best ones. She's she's just friend monster to help Godzilla, and that's fine. I and that it definitely works because I think that Mothra is easily the most charismatic of all the Toho monsters, and she is and I really do like her characterization, just like as this friendly monster just wants to protect the earth and stuff. Like that's great, and they keep that characterization in this film, and that's nice. So Mothra gets a thumbs up.
Alrighty.
And then Ghidorah, no. So I think it is cool that he does have all the different personalities, and then we get, all three different heads. We got Itchy, we got Knee, we got Cringe Compilation. We got
How are Kevin memes still like I still see them? I do not get how they still exist.
Because people stan King of the Monsters too much.
Yeah, I guess. Which is why I want to like touch on the characters, but you say you're good talking about that stuff. Like, are you got your thoughts now?
So like I mean, I do like the fact that he does display that personality. The problem is that he only does it like once in the film, and that's during the Antarctica fight, and then that's it. For the rest, he's just kind of a static character. He's big, he's imposing, he does what he needs to do. But like, if he had like or if he had just like more, if the personality was more apparent in his later on scenes, I think that would have really made him like really great. And then in my review, I said that he got like a power boost out of nowhere for the final fight, and I still have an issue with that. I don't like how San, just call it San. Actually, I prefer to call him ACDC.
Wamo.
Cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an issue with it because it just really comes out of nowhere, and it's really there just to counteract Godzilla's power boost. And I don't know, if it was more of a gradual growth of Ghidorah becoming progressively stronger, like if he was the one who took out Godzilla in Mexico instead of the Ocean Destroyer, like I would have been perfectly fine with that. Because it would cement how he was already like a more powerful monster than Godzilla.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then aside from that, I mean, with like the personality thing being like as overhyped, with it being like so overhyped when it's really only apparent in one scene.
Not real. I mean, there's also like some other scenes, like when. Shoot, you're right. I can't argue there. I just really like that they actually did do that, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like it too. It's just I wish it would have been done like a lot more.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean, with all of that, overall, this Ghidorah just kind of comes off as
He's
not
really good, but
not lame because like he is cool when he really is. Like when he confronts the Argo in Mexico, and you get the silhouette shot, and then like that little roar he does, where he's like, like that's like the coolest Ghidorah moment ever.
actually, can I say something?
Aside from his attack on the Airtrim and Planet Eater, that's the coolest Ghidorah moment.
Yeah. For me, without the roars, I really do like Ghidorah's roars. It's because we always Godzilla's roar feels mostly um like it's just 2014 roar copy and paste with some Toho roars thrown in the mix. But Ghidorah, it's not like they took like the old Showa Ghidorah roars. It's like completely new and different, and it really fits with the character of Ghidorah because it's so it's a way it's terrifying because it kind of fits so well because it shows for the I'll just use for example the one scene where he's like calling out to all the monsters. It just makes him seem that much more massive. Just long as roar, I guess.
Now is the time. Awaken, my titans.
Stop, Jojo. All right. So let's jump into the human characters, which I'm gonna say is for me, it's like the Kong Skull Island effect, where there's some good characters, but they're like could be like touched upon a bit more. Except the opposite. It's for me. It's like the opposite is true for you. Remember you said it's like they focused on the wrong type of characters when they were focusing on the main characters of Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson, when the better characters were Samuel Jackson, those guys. For me, it's like the opposite because for me, the film, it's really about the family of, like, the Russell family. It's about Madison, Emma, and Mark, and the way, like, the dynamic, the way their characters work, in the story. And how, like, Emma, she's not really that much of an, wait, but he was in the water. Game over for him. No, Emma Russell, like, she works as an antagonist, but she has somewhat like a redeeming, like somewhat redemption towards like the end of her character arc, like of like, oh, I'm gonna stop using the orca to kill the monsters. For me though, like because like I don't really see Charles Dance's character as that much of a threat. His character just wasn't really given that much to do. It was just the main motivator, I guess. The eco-terrorists. So, Mark Russell in this, what did I have to say about him? All that comes to mind are the goddamn, is either her, it was either, Madison, her, or fishing. Sometimes I saw this. It's all that comes to mind right now, because I just remember that so much. With Mark Russell's character, though, like, he isn't, like, he's not, like, the greatest of characters, but he's good in a sense where you can, like, get invested into his character. Like, it makes sense for him to be, like, spouting some sort of exposition in some areas, like, about, like, marine biology and stuff like that, in the way, like, animals behave, because that's something he studies, because he studies animal behavior. It sort of makes sense for him. I kind of stole a page out of your book. I'm sorry, Sam. It's a great representation. Don't be angry with me. I'm sorry. So that makes sense, and I don't know what I said in my in the podcast about like before the about Madison Russell, but she was just a fun character that I can give him. But that's what the characters were. They weren't great, but they were like still characters that you can still get someone invested in. It's just the side characters were just kind of meh. So, and there were like, I feel like there was a bit like one comedy relief is a bit enough. So we had like 2, 3. So all right, you're up. Wait, one last thing. Serizawa heavily improved in this movie because he was actually given more character and more stuff to do. And I'm gonna relate back to one of my favorite lines in the movie is like, in order to heal our wounds, we must make peace with the demons who created them. Because that line stuck with me so much, and it's because, in a way, that's what Mark Russell had to do. He sort of had to like accept, like, oh shit. Now I lost my train of thought. Hold on. You just continue while I get back to this.
So as for the so as for the characters, I found them to be serviceable at best and horribly written at worst. The one example, or the one person I think is an exception to this rule is Mark Russell, because like what you said, which is what I said, he studies animal behavior, so his presence kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it's like this is an organization that's dedicated to talking about huge animals, and they don't have any biologists on the team. Like,
Yeah.
this kind of
like for me, like with that, I feel like if they gave Mark Russell like a bit more character development, it would have like helped develop his character a bit more. I mean, it's still fine, not great, but good. Like you can still be invested and not be drawn to sleep. His character.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you can continue now. I can't really.
Or did you?
Oh,
have
with
your train of thought completed?
the Sarasota point. In a way, it helps complete Mark Russell's like character arc because he's sort of like he was originally had like such hatred towards Godzilla, and he's not like completely against him, but he's on terms where he can sort of accept him as like a necessary evil, to say the least. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh Jesus! All right, now you're up, Titus. Here.
So going back to the whole serviceable point, we have you only have to follow 7 or 8 characters in 2014. Kong, you have to follow like 14. Yeah, that's true. So for and for so going back to the whole serviceable point, we jump to Madison Russell, um, who really just serves the point as kid character who acts as MacGuffin next to the orca.
Yeah.
and and then at who's and then her only real point in the film is to like get the orca from point A to point B,
and to help advance the plot.
yeah, so really
Which,
she's
in a
just
way, it's cliche, but it helps because it helps bring both of the characters together, like Emma Russell and Mark Russell, even though, like for like one goal, like a syndicate. Not really though.
so so yeah, her character is really just like a tool to advance the plot and get all the other characters together. And then we got Emma Russell, and let me go get my trash can.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna throw a character in the trash.
Yeah, for me, after like watching the film again, I kind of can understand Emma Russell's character. She's not like in a way anyway like redeemable, but but in a way she's like really well written, like, and that's because like of the way like how the whole dynamic works, and it's because like she's not really like an antagonist, she's more of a like anti-protagonist, or say at least
Anti-villain.
anti-villain. Yeah, the anti-antagonist. No, it's the anti.
Well, like, okay, for starters, the motivation thing, it's stupid. It's really stupid. So like
Okay, I get where you're coming from there. So
because
that
like
makes sense.
we need my son died, so we need to release the Titans to cure all of humanity and this and to like do stuff. And it's like, uh-oh, my family's in danger. How could I not foresee this incoming? So it's just kind of stupid,
Mhm.
I think. And then and also and then aside from that, the whole motives of like um I really should have probably organized my thoughts better because like I know what I want to say. It's just like I don't know how to say it.
Ah, like me, this entire podcast.
Yes.
Here, while you think about that, can I jump into Charles Dance's character?
Yeah, sure, do that. Why not? Why
Horribly
not?
written character. I'm sorry.
Hell yeah,
It's
dude.
because even though he's got like some memorable lines, like "We don't have time for this." Um,
We don't man and monster living in harmony. And then like an unironically great line. Mother of God. She had no part in this.
I just, for me, I don't really like his character, and it's because he's not given much development. I can't really get behind his motivations because he's given like little backstory for me to like get behind the motivations that he has, and like because he's like, oh yeah, he fought in many wars or something, rather something something. But it's like I can't get behind that if you're not going to give me an excuse as to why. Oh, is it like, does he have PTSD? Is he psychotic? Or is it just, what's the point here, Sergeant? The answer, there is none. It's because the character's poor. I don't have a problem with the actor. Not at all. I think the actor's doing a solid job what he's given, but the character is at fault because of the poor writing choice.
We don't have time for this.
I think
We can generally agree. Not very well written character.
yeah.
Yeah.
General agreement.
And then like everyone else is just there.
Yeah.
Comic relief characters are haha funny comic relief characters. Military people are military people. Then Sarazawa's there because carryover, and then Sally Hawkins died, and then Vivian Graham dies.
But like I said, Zerazawa, he's given a lot more to work with, like as a character, and he helps develop the arcs of Mark Russell, and which is fine, and it's just it works very well. So I mean, even though it might seem as like a bad thing, it works very well. So it makes sense, and his sacrifice is good scene. So.
I have an issue with the sacrifice. That's it's not like what I had with when the film came out. It's different, and it's not like the film's fault. It's just kind of awkward.
Well,
Um um this criticism was brought up by Gorizard, if you know who he is,
yeah, I
but
know.
yeah,
Or,
he stated in his review that Serizawa's entire character is to remind the audience that, or like the meta point of his character is to remind the audience of Godzilla's Japanese origins and how he came into existence because of the bomb. And in this film, he uses a bomb to revive the thing that he is actively standing for, and since Godzilla 54 is an anti-war movie, also what the entire franchise is against. It's just awkward in a way.
I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from
It's
there.
it's an like it's an easy oversight, but like it's still just like something
Yeah,
that's
and more of an easy
worthy of
oversight than
discussion.
anything. So.
It's not like in Space Battleship Yamato where the characters are actively like where the characters actively glorify the Battleship Yamato's sacrifice. But that's a story for another time.
Great Battleship. I don't know which movie you're talking about.
Like I said, story for another time.
Okay. Alrighty.
Unless you want to hear it. Actually, no. We've gone on too many tangents this podcast.
Yeah.
We can't afford.
Let's wrap up this thing because we kind of like covered all our thoughts on King of the Monsters now, right?
King of the Monsters a pretty heavily flawed yet still heavily
Enjoyable, half-baked masterpiece. Let's say that it was definitely a much-needed like breath of fresh air, and it is definitely like well liked among the fan base, even though like us boomer critics might have a problem with it.
Boomer critics,
but it mainly just has to do with the characters and not so much the monster action, which still was very good. Which there was more of that than there was characters, so it's fine. It's not like there's these bad characters and only like 2 minutes of monster action anime trilogy. Except for the third film in that aspect.
Well, okay. The anime trilogy wasn't even about the monster action, so.
But when the characters are written poorly, it suffers.
Okay, that's fair.
All right.
Well, so not really, but like, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I understand where you're coming from.
Alrighty. Are we good then? Yes. No. Maybe so.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just saying if we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Good. So to wrap it up, somewhat, this decade is coming to a close, and we've had a lot of monster movies to get through in just one decade, and it's been like sort of a mixed bag in terms of production, in terms of writing, in terms of just directing and stuff. It's been all over the place with the
debatable. No.
Well, when you think like Hideaki Anno's direction versus like let's say like Michael Dougherty's direction with the movies.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Versus Edwards versus Roberts versus Del Toro versus Shizuno and Sashida. All those different guys.
Yeah. Here. Why don't you give a closing remark, my friends?
It is just such a great time. Or we are just in such a great time to be a kaiju fan and to be kaiju fans with all of these different movies coming out and I can't wait to see what the 2020s have to offer. I mean, we already have Godzilla vs. Kong, Eva 3.0 plus 1.0, and Shin Ultraman to look forward to. So thus far this decade's looking pretty bright, and honestly the only thing that we can honestly see potentially making this decade even better than the last is another Gamera movie, but even then that's wishful thinking.
Yeah, a bit too visual.
I think so.
What really? I mean, I don't even care that was like a film festival or whatever it was. What they did back in 2015. I still want to see it. All right, like I could really get behind that movie so much.
Look, because everyone wanted to see that.
Like I really, even though like if the characters like, wait, great time for the Kaiju Blu-ray releases this day. Debatable.
No, not debatable. That's true.
Yeah, it's fact. Especially with the Show trilogy coming to
Criterion Collection,
which you own. I'm jelly.
I know. I do own. And you are jelly. It's $112 on Amazon. You could buy that.
Yeah.
You have a job.
I have a job. I can afford it. You don't, so how?
Do it. Fucking do it. Buy it.
Actually, I have to wait, because I gotta save my money.
For G-Fest?
No, just in general.
Oh.
I have a bit of a spending problem. I gotta fix that.
Oh, yeah. You should do that then.
Alrighty, so that's kind of it. We've kind of covered the entire decade. We are looking forward to the coming films that might await us. We don't really know what's going to happen after next year, though. What's going to come after that?
Shin
Shin
Ultraman is
Ultraman,
technically
yeah, but
that's 2021.
But after that, though, it's like, what happens after that? What do we have to expect? It's like, what?
There maybe the world of Godzilla, maybe more MonsterVerse films. I don't know.
Who knows? Shin Godzilla sequel 2 is probably not happening, so.
Celebrate good times.
Go on! Alright. I own it too, indicate so L. Alrighty.
Intimidation 100.
Sneak.
Intimidation
5,000.
with our Bandai Rodant and foot tall Blu-ray box sets.
Alright. Yeah, this podcast, it's our. Actually, it's been the longest one, so. Congratulations. We ramble too much. Alrighty, that's it. I'm tired. Thank you to anyone who sticked around. Mostly Dillafellow, because
the true MVP. Look at you. Staying up until like God knows what time just to watch us ramble.
And just to mention, what's his name? Gazelle Productions TV. I don't have a personal vendetta against you, so don't hate me in the comments. All right. So that's it for this podcast, and Happy New Year, everyone. I'm probably not gonna get my Godzilla vs. Kong video out until later this week, and I just really want to do it because I want to do it because it would be fun. Shut up. Yeah. So there's that. And yeah, I got nothing else to say. So Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you all for watching this show. I don't even know how many people actually watch it. I just wanted to. Next year, my plan, hopefully, fix it. I don't know. What do you want to say, Sam? Anything?
Just basically everything that he said. I'm excited to see what the future offers, and other than that, talk to you guys on this channel later, and hope you all have a happy new year.
Alrighty, thank you guys for watching. I've been your host, NDK Films. Along with me is Sam the Geiger fan, and good night.